Well, hello, my name's Cliff and welcome to Give a Little. Today I'm going to talk about the fear of making mistakes. It's likely that we've all made mistakes at some point in our life, but is there a benefit to making mistakes? And of course, the answer is yes. The whole fear of making mistakes can stop us in our tracks, stop us from doing things that we've really been interested in, maybe for a little while, maybe for years. So I'm going to talk about just a few mistakes, a couple from outside of my life, but a couple from inside of my life, and the way that I've approached them. And at the end, I'm going to give you a technique that might help you just ease through and flow through the whole fear of making mistakes and that feeling that you get when you think, I don't think I'll do this because something might go wrong. So the first mistake I want to talk about is this little beauty, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. That was built over about 200 years from 1174. And one of the major problems they had was that it was built on a very shallow surface of about 3 meters. But fortunately, over this 200-year period, they had gaps. So they ran out of money. There was, wars, a lot of wars during that time. So it was able to stabilize itself. So that's turned out to be a pretty magical mistake because now over 5 million people get to visit that Leaning Tower of Pisa. So we never really know what's going to happen with our mistakes, what they might turn into. So that's a big mistake, I guess you'd call it, from a structural point of view, that's turned into a success story. Same with this one. So here's another example, something that you might be quite familiar with. This is quite a famous story with Postit Notes, in that the scientist who worked for 3M was looking to invent a very strong adhesive. And what it turned out to be during his experiment, or the ultimate result, was a very an adhesive that was very easy to peel off, as we now know. And you've got this amazing success story with Post-it notes all over the world. People still use Post-it notes. So that's turned into a mistake that is another success story, and one that was maybe unexpected. But the point is, we need to keep an open mind. If we do make mistakes, if we have a fear of making mistakes, then we may never know what might happen by going out and trying something new, something different, something that we've been thinking about wanting to do for some time. So let's have a look at 2 of my own examples, and then I'll talk about possible solution or possible method that might help you work through and get to a point where it's okay with making mistakes. So the first mistake I want to talk about that I made that was pretty dramatic at the time. I used to love playing golf as a younger person, and we had a strip of sort of grass land outside of our just outside the fence of our property. And I used to go down there and practice a few shots. And one day I took a shot and saw that the ball was slicing, and it went straight through the dining room window, bounced into the lounge room, and then dropped down just below my father's feet, who was reading the paper. My sister ran out. She said, don't come in, it's not good. And I learned from that because I had to pay for the hole in the window, and that took up a bit of my pocket money. But I ended up making that mistake only once, and so went on to practice hour after hour, improving my golf swing. So that sort of converted a mistake for me into a focus, into a discipline of becoming more of a straight hitter. So that's a bit of a funny story, but the second one is really, that comes from my last video actually. And up here, I had a sticky tape holder, which I'd used previously, and I forgot that it was still there. And when I was looking back at that first video, I realized it was there, and I sort of took a bit of a gasp, and I thought, well, am I going to have to reshoot this? Or, I sort of thought to myself, I've made a mistake. Do I need to correct it? So I just sat down and took a breath and realized that I could use that in this video on the fear of making mistakes. So I know that with anything that you start, you're going to be learning. There's going to be a learning curve. So I wanted to use that as something that I could, improve on, to be maybe more focused on my surroundings, how the video is playing out, what's in my environment. So I wanted to express that and share that because it's easy to possibly get disheartened or to feel like, maybe you haven't got it for whatever particular change you're making, whatever project you might be doing. So the fact is that it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. And what I'd like to share with you now is this technique, this letting go technique that might just help you take a moment, take a breath. If you're looking to make a change, you're not sure because you might make mistakes, or if you've made a mistake recently and you reacted in some way and thought, well, I'm not going to go ahead with that, this technique might help you just sail a bit more smoothly, be a bit more relaxed in the way that you approach it. So here it is. So what is this simple technique? Well, it is the letting go technique. Well, that's one of the names for it. So basically, when you come across a mistake, as I did with my sticky tape, you can have a reaction. That reaction can lead to you possibly giving up on what you were doing because of that mistake or mistakes. And one of the ways that we can help ourselves is when we, for instance, when I saw the sticky tape there, I did have a reaction. What have I done? Should I leave it in there? A lot of sort of self-talk started. The idea with this letting go technique is to focus on the feeling. So basically just sitting down in a quiet space and allowing the feeling that comes up, having made that mistake, and letting that feeling run its course through your body. So it's really just observing that feeling in your body. And what you find is that those feelings dissipate so that you're able to think more clearly about in this case, a mistake that I made, and allow for a solution or an alternative way of doing things to come into your mind. In this case, I decided to leave it in there. I thought, or maybe I could use it in a video, as it was my first video. So making mistakes are going to happen, and that's okay. So it allowed me to accept that and then come up with a different idea. So it is basically a new habit for many people who generally, we react depending on how big that mistake might have been. That was a minor mistake, but if it's something big that's happened before or repeatedly, that feeling might be stronger than with my sticky tape example, for instance. So it may take time, but as you do this process, very simple process that can take just a few minutes to allow those feelings to be let go of, dissipate, feel relaxed, and then have a clear mind to come up with some different ideas about how you can resolve that mistake. It comes from this process, which is simple, from the book Letting Go, which I'll just show a brief picture of, so you might think about purchasing that book. It goes into incredible detail, incredible depth about how the letting process can be beneficial to your life. But that's a very simple practice that you need to learn to create a new habit, so that becomes the norm, allows you space, more relaxation, and it allows you to keep going with projects, ideas that you might have had that you may have stopped because of the fear of making mistakes. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in another one. Thank you very much.